Hello, hello, hello. Donna Reiners here. How are you today? I am thankful that I'm here. Love it, love it, love it. It's been a minute. Let me just check one thing real quick. Real quick, real quick, real quick. And then I will be getting right with you. Indeed, indeed. Oh my, something's happening with my identity. Isn't that always fun? One moment, please. Gotta love these things that take place a little bit, especially when Facebook's involved and they are wanting to, well, gonna go live anyway, guys. It is what it is. Sometimes you just have no control over Facebook. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes Facebook just seems to want to be in charge of everything. Anyhow, I'm doing a series on money, and today is called Why You Have No Money and Has Nothing to Do with Money. And so one thing I was thinking about is how maybe you're not as tired from doing too much, but you're tired from living from a story that was never yours to begin with. I can very much so recognize this type of thing inside of me from the way I grew up. And so I want to ask you a question. Maybe it'll feel a little uncomfortable, but when was the last time you looked at your bank account without a tight feeling in your chest? You know, it doesn't matter how much or how little money you have. That tight feeling is your relationship with what's going on with you, not with anybody else, just with you. You could have $1 gazillion in your bank account and still have a tight feeling in your chest. You could have $5 in your bank account and have perfect peace. So when did money start feeling like something you fight instead of something that flows? And has it ever been something that flowed with you? You know, the way we grew up, it wasn't necessarily a flow ever. So stay with me today, because I want to show you perhaps what you think might be a money problem may not be a money problem at all. So most of us, most women especially, approach their financial life as if the problem is external. So maybe we need a better job. Maybe we need another side hustle in addition to the side hustles we already have. Maybe we need a smarter budget. And you know, I think all those things matter. But you know, when we're living from our spirit alive in Christ, when we're living from this space inside, it's about listening. And yes, we need to function out of a place of great wisdom, but there's a voice inside of us that leads and guides out of a place of safety, not just survival, right? And when you're connected with that place inside where you hear clear, then you know what action steps you need to take as you're moving forward in your life. So normally, and like I said, those things matter. Having a budget matters. Sometimes you do need a better job. Sometimes you need to work smarter, not harder. Sometimes you do need a side hustle, because the truth is we all have different things that we need in life, and we get to make the effort to have those things come to pass. But if you don't get to the root of why you don't have what you need, you may continue to live that way forever and ever and ever. So the root could be a scarcity story. Maybe it came to you from before you ever earned your first dollar. You know, when I was a kid, I remember asking for, 50 cents or a quarter or a dime to go empty the trash. You know, instead of seeing, hey, I live there too, and it's partly my trash, I wanted to be paid for that. Because when I was a kid, every dime counted. It went into a little jar, and that's how I got to pay for my skating rink and that kind of thing. And I got an allowance every week, right? And so I grew up in a home that was shaped by financial fear. You can live with very godly parents and still have a home shaped out of financial fear. Now, my parents, and maybe your parents did too, I don't know. It doesn't matter. I tell you, whether you have a gazillion dollars, you raise with a gazillion dollars, or you raise with low dollars or medium dollars, it doesn't matter. But, maybe your parents actually lived through genuine poverty. And maybe they had survival habits that became inherited beliefs with you. That could be. So, my dad say, money didn't grow on trees. Of course, paper's made from trees, but that's another matter. Don't spend what you don't have. Rich people can't be trusted, which is interesting. People that don't have a good relationship with money are always critical of people that make money normally. I see people that are making very good livings in the place, like ministers, that's outside of their church. It's like what they do for work, and they get mightily criticized because they're making money. But usually it's people that don't have money that criticize people that for some reason are able to make money. I just think that's interesting. Another thing that could be said when you were a kid is we're not the kind of people who ever get ahead. Maybe you had these false beliefs placed inside of you, and you never knew they were false, but they were the story you grew up with, so you kind of had no choice. So those were survival tools, and they were survival tools for your parents, which means they were survival tools for you because they were in charge of you. But it may have become your subconscious operating system, living out of a place of poverty, living in a place where you're conscious of poverty and you don't realize it. Maybe some of you grew up with a spouse or a parent who controlled the money completely, one or the other. Again, like you received an allowance, maybe even as a grown woman in a spousal situation. And over time, you slowly stopped believing you had a right to have more. Or it was just tightly held on to your spouse, whether you're a woman or not, tightly held on by whoever was making the money. So it was their money and not your money. It was their money and not your money, instead of it being our money. There's many times when there's a situation where there's one spouse that works outside of the home so they have a quote unquote real job. And someone who works inside the home wouldn't necessarily be seen as having a real job, even though they take care of everything inside the house that costs money to hire someone else to do. But because they're operating from outside the house, sometimes the other person doesn't see that as a real job. It's really quite something, the little subtleties that come in, and we don't even realize it. And maybe that hearing over and over, you can't afford that, or you just don't think you can afford it and you don't realize it. When I was a kid, I had no idea that it didn't cost anything to join the choir. And I loved to sing. I mean, it was a natural gift, a natural talent growing up. I remember being in plays and singing, and I just loved it. Loved it. I just loved to sing. It's almost like having an instrument, but I didn't know it was an instrument, so I never really got to develop it. And then there were some naysayers that said, oh, you can't sing, when I guess you don't get to sing in a play unless you can sing, right? So I could sing some, but I believed those things. I believed those lies. And so so here we are in situations where we're growing up under these lies and we don't realize that they're lies, because it's just the way we grow up. Or you grow up thinking you can't afford that so often that it becomes your internal voice, even when your circumstances have changed. Even when your circumstances have changed. And so, as you live out your life and you start growing up and you start making decisions and you start trying to figure it out, you may just think you're just bad with money. But maybe you're just loyal to a story that once kept you safe, kept your family safe. And now the story is stealing your future. You know, all the subconscious work that we all do, we can rewrite our stories of the past. That's what we're supposed to do. It's called renovating the mind. It's called the renewal of the mind. We hear all these stories about how other people, which some Christians call New Agers, but honestly, they're just doing what we do. Renew your mind. Renovate your mind. And maybe you're not really bad with money. You think you're bad with money, but honestly, maybe you were just trained to expect less. And it's a learned pattern. You learn to think. And so you can unlearn what you learned so that that lie no longer has a hold of you. Another lie is wanting more is greedy. I know someone who says pretty regularly, oh, y'all are just so spoiled, or America's so spoiled, or this, that, and the other. They've traveled to different countries where there's less. Now, this person doesn't have minimal. This person has plenty. They don't live in a city like we live in, so then maybe they don't do the same kind of things we do. They live a little bit more simply, but they have money to help them through their day-to-day. There's no fear of them starving, no fear of them not paying their bills and those kind of things. But out of a mindset, they think that if you have a lot, you're spoiled. But is that really the truth? Isn't it about your attitude? You can have a lot, and yes, sure, you can be spoiled. You can have a little and be spoiled. You can have an attitude, an egotistical attitude, whether you have a little or you have a lot. You can be full of ego and full of pride, one way or another. So wanting more, being greedy, isn't necessarily the truth. Maybe a woman who prospers can fund her family, fund her community, and she can fund her calling for generations, because prosperity can be something you steward. Or maybe there's a lie that says, well, this is just how my life is and I can't do anything about it. But your history is just information. It doesn't have to be a sentence for life. And there's a scripture that came to my mind as I was thinking about all this. And it's out of the Passion Translation. It's not exact, but I really like the Passion Translation. And it's basically the heart of God is for you, that every part of your life would flourish. Your relationships, your health, your finances. That wholeness is God's design for you. I love that, the heart behind that. The heart behind, I think it's 3 John 1:2. And then the Mirror Bible, I love the Mirror as well. You're seen in your completeness. Listen, what if you looked at yourself as if you were complete and whole every day? And it might seem slow, but little by little by little, the more whole you see yourself, the more complete you see yourself, the more your cells inside of you think that you're well, the more your relationship with money changes, then you won't feel like you have so much lack. And then some of those things that take place when you feel lack is you take advantage of other people. I had a family member years and years ago who had very, very little, like very little. And I understood why she responded the way she did. But she really intentionally guilted and took advantage of people every chance she had. And she she did as little as possible to produce income to contribute because she decided that she just needed to be happy with that little bit she got. So her son didn't grow up in a way where he could see the value in working for income. He wasn't given that opportunity. So it's pretty intentional that went into the next generation. This poverty consciousness ruling and reigning the heart, the soul, the body. But yet, what's the Mirror Bible say? The spirit of it is that you're seen in completeness. What God desires for you is not survival, but full flourishing for your soul, for your body, for your spirit, and your material world. Your material world. I love that. I love the thought. So there are many, I'm telling you, there's so many people, especially in the Christian world. I'm telling you, in the Christian world even. It's so interesting to me that we think that having little is more attractive than having a lot. But yet, and we think that the more you have, the more you need to give away. There are some people that brag about that they give away 60%, 78% of their income or whatever. Don't care. Really, at the end of the day, it's really about hearing the voice of God inside of you. What does God say inside of you? What is God telling you? How is God working with you? What is God speaking to you? Because that's the key. The key is listening to the voice of God inside of you to know. And then if you realize, hey, you've been stuck for years and years and years, then you get the responsibility to start moving that, turning that needle away from where you've been comfortable. So, for instance, the person I was talking about with regards to him not growing up, seeing that work had value. You know, he's been faced with having to work. As a matter of fact, he was in a situation where he had been considered disabled and been considered mentally challenged in some way, so he was getting disability on those kind of things. And then some mistakes took place, okay? And all of a sudden, all that was removed, and he had to go, he's like, oh my God, what now? Well, the first thing I want to say we did before that happened, we quickly moved when these things shifted and he was on his own. We quickly moved to help him get his high school diploma, which he did not have, from a legitimate place where he has an actual diploma. And secondly, we helped him get his driver's license because he'd never had a driver's license. Come on. And then we helped him find a car so that he could be an adult and do things that an adult does, like get up in the morning and go to work, you know, and have some abundance and not live out of the poverty that he was living out of because he couldn't produce any income for himself. So he had to shift his needle pretty quickly, which he was able to do. And now he's positioned to really earn some decent income. And over the last 3 years, he's been learning, you know, how to budget, learning how to put money aside, even a little bit, you know. And we help this person in situations where they are not able to provide. He's not able to provide. Something happens or whatever. And he's gone through multiple jobs. I've been so proud of him, been through multiple jobs because he's willing to step out and find out. He's willing to step out and find out. He would not allow himself to stay in a place where he was afraid. He figured out how to earn. He figured out how to earn. And he would get unhappy and unsettled with the amount he was earning. It's like, man, I can't pay my bills with this. He really realized, oh, I can't pay my bills with that. So he'd attempt to find a different kind of job. And he stayed actually in the, not the retail industry yet. He might try that sometime. I think he would have been good at that. But he went into the food industry where pay is not great. And he had some very uncomfortable situations that took place where also he was learning how to get along with people, learning the social skills within work situations and things of that nature. It stretched him greatly. But see, that was also part of a poverty mindset. All of those thoughts and ideas and things that kept him in this small place where that's the only place he could function. And so now the walls are down and his peripheral vision is up, and he's learning how to function with different kinds of people, learning how to have discussions with people, learning how to have adult conversations, learning how to look people in the eye. You know, just things like that that have stretched him from lack to more. And so it's just been a fascinating journey with him because he's precious. And he even said to us, it's so interesting. He said to us early on, he's like, you know, in 30 years, y'all may or may not be alive, and I want to be able to take care of myself. I thought, wow, he's thinking down the road. He wasn't thinking just a year down the road. He's thinking, what can I do to secure a future for myself? So he began to take the journey, and we helped him along the way. We all need help along the way, but now he needs less and less and less help, and he has done more and more and more and more and more to basically prove himself. Not that he has to prove himself, but prove to himself that he is well able to step out of his comfort zone, to expand his boundaries, and to move out of lack into feeling like he can have something that's more limitless. Move into something that for him would be considered abundance. Years ago, I was in a situation where I was helping take care of someone, and they really did not have a lot, and it was very sad, and it was so humbling to know that I was taken care of, that I could take care of myself, this person could not, and it was so difficult for my heart. Because, you know, you just want to take care of that person. You just want to remove all those problems. You want to remove all the stress. You want to remove. But, you know, one day God spoke to my heart and said, my provision for her is a homeless shelter. That's what he spoke to me. I'm like, whoa. And I think one of the reasons he said that to me because I was so invested in my heart is because he was not allowing me to live in guilt because of her not being able to have more. Sometimes it's not your responsibility to make sure another person has more. Sometimes people have to go through something in order to take ownership of their own lives, to have the provision that they need. And this person was in a place where it just was really bad physically, mentally, emotionally. And honestly, it was in a space where it was just too, I was not able to take on that responsibility. I was not, I didn't have the financial means to take on that responsibility. I didn't have the medical understanding to take on that responsibility. I didn't have it because her needs were far beyond. And so what happened is she ended up transitioning into a nursing facility, and then that was God's provision for her. you know. She would have loved to have still been working. She had worked for some time, for like 10 years, the previous 10 years, and then some things shifted and she was not able to anymore. Um, and then prior to that, for probably about 10 years previous before that, she had not worked and she'd been married to someone for 22 years who came home one day and said, I don't want to be married to you anymore. I'm leaving you. I found someone else. And he had never allowed her to work all those 22 years. And so she was literally devastated and had been taken care of all those years and not produced anything financially. And so there was really, she was just stuck. I'm sharing these things. I'm just giving you, I'm giving you examples, real examples of real people that you might know someone like this. So don't judge, don't criticize, right? Or you might be this person. Some of this story might be part of your scarcity story. And so I want us to shift a little bit, and I want us to take a moment. You know, the name of the group that our community is called Wealthy Women Rising. Wealth isn't just money, but it includes money. It includes health. It includes our relationship with ourselves, our relationship with God, our relationship with other people. But wealthy women rising, from stuck to financially aligned. I really wanted to call it financially secure. But, you know, security looks different for each person. So as you come into alignment, you get more and more secure. But this person's alignment over here may not make you feel secure. This person's alignment over here may not make you feel secure. Your alignment may not make somebody else feel secure. So everyone has a different alignment they have to come into with their spirits alive in Christ to experience what they would see as security. And it's an inside job. So I wanted to start today. We, as people that follow God, I've seen a lot of people ignore their physical bodies. You know, health is a thing now that people really are more interested in. But 15 years ago, it wasn't so much. You'd have all these people out preaching and doing all these things, but their health looked horrible. You know, it just did not, it was not healthy, some of the things that were taking place. So a lot of that has shifted over the years. But even so, your health, your wealth inside of you really does have to do with you. Your actions, your decisions, your internal story, what you're willing to shift, what you're willing to change, what decisions you're willing to make. Instead of someone else making those decisions, someone else being in charge of you, and you not having to say so. We have our own say so. And as women, I believe that is so important. And there are many. You look around, you dig for some stories. Go dig in some stories, especially religious narratives, and see how many women are in situations where they're being controlled by a man, and they are capped mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and especially financially. Because why? Because the man is the one who makes the income, and she is basically just doing what she's told. So there's no co-heirship taking place there. That's not a co-heir. That's a man and the woman. The man in charge, and there's a woman. But yet the Bible gives us passages where it says that we're co-heirs. Men and women are co-heirs. There's not one over the other. And Craig and I talk about this sometimes. Do you know who gets to make the decisions in our relationship? It's whoever's hearing from God. It isn't the man, and it isn't the woman. It's who's listening, who's hearing from God. And that goes back and forth between us. And sometimes we're literally hearing the same exact thing, and we're like, oh yeah, that's it. So listening is so important. So today I thought we could do do something about our physical body to see, does scarcity live in the physical body, in your physical body? Let's just start with some things. We're going to be meeting on a regular basis. And I think that it's just going to be very valuable for you. So I want you to just either sit comfortably or stand comfortably. I'm standing, but be comfortable. Make sure your feet are on the floor. It's kind of hard to ground ourselves in buildings. You know, grounding really is for touching the earth, where the earth has the resources of energy that we can just receive to help our bodies be in peace. But at least have your feet on the ground. Now, what I want you to do next is I want you to think about money. Just the word money. That's it. Just think about the word money. Don't think about anything specific. Don't think about family. Just think money. Money. Just look at the word money in your mind. Money. See the word money. Now, I want you to pay attention. I want you to be really conscious. Be conscious. As you think about the word money, where do you feel it in your physical body? Do you feel something in your physical body? If you're not cognizant of how to be aware and conscious of things around you, or conscious of what's inside of you, it might be new for you. But where are you conscious of any kind of shifting in you when you say or think the word money? So give it a second. I mean, where does your body respond? Is it your chest, your stomach, your throat, your shoulders, your hips? Just notice. You're not trying to fix it. You're just locating it. Pinpoint it. Point to it if you can. Point to it. Point to it. Put your hand on it if you can. Feel that physical sensation. Maybe there's tightness. Maybe there's a contraction of some sort. It could be very well that there is a poverty story stored in that part of your body. You know, trauma stores in the body, guys. Not just the mind, not just the emotions, not just, no. Poverty or trauma stores inside the physical body. That's why a lot of us get trapped in something. And we renew our mind till the cows come home, but nothing shifts because there's things in the body. If you can get some things shifted out of the body, it's especially with there's lies or vows in store or in surrounding those trauma points, it can really help you shift yourself and have some freedom so you can make better decisions. Now I want you to take a slow breath into that exact spot. So let's say it's right here. May not be for you, but I'm just giving an example. Take a deep breath with me. Let me tell you something. Breathing is your key to move out of survival. Just taking a breath. And do it again. Now this time, I'm sure you've heard of these things before. This time I want you to count to 4 when you're breathing in. Then I want you to hold it for a count of 4. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe. Hold. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now listen, this is what I want you to do. I want you to say this time as you exhale. Breathe in, hold it, and then when you exhale, I want you to say, I see you. I see you. I know where you came from, and you no longer have to protect me. Say it again. I see you. I know where you came from. You no longer have to protect me. I release you from your assignment to protect me. Say it again. Wherever that is in your body, put your hand on it. These are the beginning steps. These are beginning steps to release you. I release you from protecting me. You're not forcing anything. You're just allowing yourself to breathe in and breathe out and let go and instruct your subconscious and instruct your body. You know, what's it talk about? It talks about life and death are in the tongue. Renewing the mind. Let's just have some renewal. And take three more breaths in that spot. Releasing, not forcing, just releasing, letting it go, allowing it to go. Breathing in, breathing out. And I want you to notice if anything shifted even slightly. Each exhale, release it. Again, you're just allowing a release. And again, pause and notice, did it shift even slightly? Because that slight shift is your nervous system beginning to change. And because right now we're talking about money, it's shifting your relationship with money. You may not realize it. Little bitty shift, incremental shift every day produces a whole new direction. It doesn't happen overnight. And this is what we do in our coaching. We take it all the way through. Today you located. It's so powerful. Every day I want you to do this to release more and more. You know, and put it in the comments. When you see this, will you put it in the comments where you felt it? Where you felt it in your body when you said the word money, put it in the comment. And then I want you to say, did it shift? Did it shift? Drop it in the comments. I will read every one. I'll respond to every one. I will. Because what you felt in your body is part of the root system. That's part of the root system of the money issues, of wealth not being able to rise because it's clamped into a space and it has to be released. You get to release it from your spirit alive in Christ. You get to release it from loving yourself completely unconditionally. You get to release it from a place where you forgive yourself completely unconditionally. You get to be in agreement with the God who lives inside of you from your spirit alive in Christ. Anyway, what you just felt in your body, that's part of the root system. We are having a 5-day event soon, and where we're going to work on these roots and pulling them out. And so comment if you'd like information. It'll be taking place in a little less than 2 weeks. Love to see you when you get this. Today, for dating wise, today is April 13th, 2026. So if you see this 3 years later, you'll know we may or may not be having a 5-day in 2 weeks. Anyway, I bless you, and I bless you again. This is Donna Reiners. Wealthy Women Rising from Stuck to Financially Aligned. And if you are not in our group as a woman, we invite you to come. And you can find that information online. Just put in Wealthy Women Rising from Stuck to Financially Aligned. Till soon. And I'll see you tomorrow too, because I'm doing another live tomorrow. And I look forward to seeing you there. And I bless you. I bless you. I bless you. Bye.